Welcome back, guys, to episode 23 of Cashed In. Today we're joined by a very special guest, Bernstine. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Happy
Thanks
to
for
be
being
here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We talk all the time via text, but good to be here in front of the studio.
Yeah, finally in person.
Exactly.
Now, chatting before we started recording, we were learning some things about you.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had 100 sheep.
Yeah, so my wife and I, and we currently have one current child, and then we're currently in the process of adopting 2 more. So really excited about that as well. But
Awesome.
On our farm, we have 106 acres, about 100 sheep, about 45 cows, 2 horses, 1 pony, 2 donkeys, 1 pet pig, and whatever else my wife decides to bring on and adopt at the given day.
Was it like 13 puppies now?
So last night, we were talking about that a little bit in the break. Really excited. Our dog Stella had 11 puppies last night, so we're super excited about that.
This
Yeah.
happened last night.
Yeah.
They're fresh.
They're fresh.
What kind of puppies are they?
Great Pyrenees.
Oh my gosh.
So
Don't tell
we're
my
selling
wife
them
that.
if anybody wants. And so make sure you hit me up.
That's awesome. So obviously you're a political figure.
Yeah.
I'm not well versed in politics or civics by any means.
Mm-hmm.
So you are a state rep. It's jurisdiction based. Obviously, you represent Lawrence, Beaver, and Butler County.
Yeah, so currently my district is Lawrence, Beaver, and Butler County, and I currently represent the 10th Legislative District. We'll be transitioning every 10 years that we go through what's called a redistricting process, and that's bound by the United States Constitution as well as the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, our Constitution here. So every 10 years, the districts change around a little bit. I will no longer have any of Beaver County, and I will strictly be in Lawrence County and in Butler County. So pretty excited about that new area and the new opportunity there. Was elected in 2016. I've been elected ever since, and I tell you, we have about 65,000 constituents that we represent. And every day when I go to work, and I really never leave work, right? Because it's always up here. You guys know how that works, and no matter what business you're in.
Yeah.
But I view it very simply as this: I have 65,000 not constituents, but I have 65,000 bosses, and those 65,000 bosses give me the opportunity, which is truly an honor, to represent their interests in Harrisburg. And I take that very seriously. And I learned from a very long time ago, whenever I first got elected, take the job really seriously. Don't ever take yourself that seriously. Mm-hmm. So, you can you can balance the two around. But it's been a great thing, and really excited about some of the things that we've been able to get done.
Yeah. So I don't want to make it a political podcast, but why would you want to enter into politics?
I'll give you the story,
okay,
and I'll kind of shrink the story down because I know we only have like an hour here. But so here's what happened. I'm from Union Township in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Moved to Cranberry Township, and then my wife and I, we moved to New Galilee, Pennsylvania, major metropolis, by the way. Huge area, right?
You own half of
it's
it.
the New Galilee.
I do roughly. Yeah. So, but anyway, so we have that area, and I move, and I said, you know what? I want to go get involved in local government and just be involved in my community. So I said, hey, here's what I'm going to do. So I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? Honey, we just moved here, I'm going to go run for council of New Beaver Borough. Right. And so I go to the meeting, and I'm a big believer of you only do things if there's an actual reason, not because it's a cool thing to do. I think sometimes people in the world do things because it's the cool or the sexy thing to do. You do things because you can make an impact in people's lives. So anyway, I go there. I'm like, hey, this would be great. And I left there, and I came home, and Leah's like, hey, what do you think? You think, you'd be interested in running? I'm like, no. And she's like, why? I said, because these guys guys and girls, do a really good job of what they're doing. I'm like, you don't just run for something because somebody's not, just because you want the title.
Sure.
You run for something because you think you can make a positive impact. So, so I'm like, all right, fine. I'm enjoying life in the private sector, doing pretty well. Worked for a company called ADP. We did human capital management. I sold to very large companies, 84 Lumber, U.S. Steel, Maxim Crane, places like that. And I started looking. I said, geez, we have a representative here that, to me, I think is not being very effective and being aggressive in what we actually need to be doing in the area. So I said, all right, let's run. And the party told me, don't do it. We already have a person to run. We were in a three-way primary. We won 75% to 16%, which was the party's pick, to 9%.
Wow.
Then they said, well, there's zero chance that you can win in the general election. The seat can only be won by a Democrat. We went on and won by 16.9%. And we did that not because of me, but rather a group of people and a team that you build around you and the effort that you put forth with that entire team. It's never about one individual like anything else in life. It's really about success is about the people around you and the things that you do, and then getting them to buy into a vision and a mission, and then attacking that and tactically doing so in a way that can allow you to be successful. It doesn't guarantee success, but it provides you the opportunity to be successful.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. So you said you went forth and entered into politics with intention. Mm-hmm. How can I parallel this to real estate? Was there anything that you intentionally affected with real estate in the jurisdictions that you represent?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of things specifically as it deals with new home ownership and some things like that. I'll tell you, one of the things that I think we have a major issue of across this country and in this Commonwealth, and it's just been exacerbated by the pandemic that happened, is the extreme restrictions on landlords not having the ability to properly evict people in homes.
You couldn't evict people for a while.
Impossible. And to be honest with you, I tell you, it's very difficult now.
It is.
And, that doesn't make any sense to me. At the end of the day, if someone is not paying, they are stealing from you. There's literally no difference. If you walked in here and set your wallet on here and walked away and I grabbed $40, if that was the daily rate, and put it in my pocket and put it back here of somebody not paying you rent. If I did the same thing to your purse, there's no difference. It's still stealing from you. And so part of it is some of the things we've done to try to get some work done on to move things in a positive direction, right? As it deals with home ownership and that, as you guys know, makes the opportunity boom for the area.
Yeah,
sure.
But it's also stopping those bad things from happening. About 80% of what I do is stopping bad things from happening. About 20% of what I do is focusing on trying to make good things happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did property management for a while in Newcastle. And with that job, part of the criteria to be a property manager was evictions. And a lot of my clients weren't in state. So I was their representative in the court. And I understand people fall on hard times, and I have a heart for that. Obviously, we all do. We empathize with people who fall on hard times, and I would never evict somebody that couldn't pay and was taking care of the place, if that made sense. And my landlord would give them grace. But if it was someone who was abusing, had a pet in there that was destroying everything, or running drugs out of it, or it being shot up by a drive-by, I mean, now it's time to go. That's.
Yeah.
But
those are two separate things. And I don't mean to interject, but at the end of the day, if someone is still not paying, they're not paying. Okay?
Sure,
and there's an opportunity, and I've dealt with this with folks that have rented off of me. Okay, fine, you can't pay. Yeah, I'm tough on work. No problem. I have work for you to come do out at the farm. I'll pay you. And then you can pay me back rent.
Yeah,
well, all of a sudden, here's the deal. The vast majority of them,
They don't want to do it.
they're not real interested in doing it. So ultimately, it is not the responsibility of you are providing a service to someone. Mm-hmm. And I think if you went to McDonald's and never mind, look at you, man. You don't go to McDonald's. I'm the one that goes to McDonald's. Chick-fil-A.
The pink slime.
So if you went to Chick-fil-A and you ordered food, and then you got your food first and drove away, I think they'd take your license plate number.
For sure.
Okay. Well, why are you allowed to do that? The same thing when you're still providing someone a service. So, it's to me, it's tightening up on those things. I just don't think it's acceptable.
What was the intent, though?
The point was that I was trying to make was that I would get to eviction court in front of the magistrate, and the judge would find a loophole in something that I missed, or a date that I didn't perform quickly enough, or they would state their case, and she would always side with them.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand. I was like, okay, so maybe I'll take on that I made a mistake representing my client, the landlord. Where can I get educated to make sure that I don't miss the loophole? I'm not an attorney, but why do you have to be an attorney to protect your rights as a landlord?
Absolutely. And the other thing on top of that is I don't think it matters if that you miss something. My guess is, and I'm just going to throw this out there, that you've probably went there and didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
And these magistrates didn't follow the exact law. So, making sure that we have judges that follow the law, not legislate from the bench, I think is imperative.
Yeah. And the only time I would win is when the person was too drugged up to show up to court.
Yep.
That was the only time that I would win.
Yep. Yeah.
I
So
mean, what is the intent though behind that? Why did they make it so stringent? Why is it so difficult to take possession of your property, of my property back?
Yeah.
I understand that there's rights that the tenants have there, but at the end of the day, if they're not following the contract or the lease and they're not paying,
it's a
or
contract,
they,
right?
Yeah. It's a contract.
I just don't understand that, because I was
me
faced
either.
with that recently as well, and it's like, I ended up, instead of going through that lengthy process, which that's the other thing. It's like, okay, well, they didn't pay. You have the
it could
contract.
be months.
It takes forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in the process of that, they could just destroy your property.
And not pay you.
And not pay for that either. Because they might not have an asset to their name.
Right.
You
No,
know,
they
what,
don't
I'm going
have
to ding
anything.
their
Or a
credit that's
job.
already
Yep.
500. I mean, it's just,
Right.
some people don't care. And that's the risk that we take
That's
as
the
investors,
risk as a landlord.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, and that is, I think what's happened is over time, I think it's well-intentioned legislation on those things, right? But I think it's just a mistake. And, I always say this when I legislate and when I vote on bills and when I write bills. I'm not writing bills for today in our generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're roughly all the same age. I'm not writing them for my kids' generation. We're literally writing legislation that may not be changed for the next 150 years. So how is this going to be impactful over the next, 7 generations, right? And you got to make sure that you're doing things that have a very long-term view of what you're doing. So that's kind of my approach whenever I look at things from a legislative standpoint.
Yeah.
It's
It's
important.
just a shame that even when they don't pay the utility companies, you can't even switch it back into your name until you satisfy their debt,
Well,
which is insane.
and to your point, creating legislation for, the long term, for decades to come. So you own I guess I'm going to kind of transition here.
Yeah.
So you own property down in Florida.
Yeah, we own I do some commercial stuff up here where I'm at. Also do residential up here. I do house flips as well.
Okay.
I don't sleep much, as you can probably tell. And then I also own currently one place down in Florida.
Okay. So you're familiar, obviously, with so you use it as a short-term rental for anyone that
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah, we do Airbnb
You do
with it.
Airbnb with
Yep.
it, right? So you're familiar then with the ordinances down there, especially St. Pete Beach. The Tampa beaches, just in Florida in general, really.
Where's yours at?
In St. Pete.
St. Pete. I think
Yep.
you told me that before.
Yep.
Okay.
St. Petersburg.
And I believe that I don't think there was a ruling on it. I think it's called home rule, if I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
in Florida. So that's something that I believe they're fighting to give more rights back to the owner as it
Yeah.
relates to use their property however they
As
deem
they
fit,
did, yeah.
not based on what this hotel wants or desires and
Right.
that sort of thing. If you want to rent it out, go rent it out.
Yeah, I'm a believer in I've tons of friends that obviously work in local government and different forms of government. The zoning rules, all that kind of stuff, it drives me insane.
Yeah.
If it is your property, I think you got to basically be able to do whatever you want with it. Now, listen, when your rights infringe upon mine, that's when we have a problem. But, so I've always been a big believer in the fact of, I had a conversation with somebody one time, and this is a very recent one in Elwood City right near our office. There's going to be a sheets going in. And somebody comes in and says, I'm really excited. That's going to be awesome, by
That's
the way.
great, yeah.
Huge fan of that.
Yeah, mac and cheese bites.
So, yeah, I was just going to say mac and cheese bites. And so somebody comes in and, well, we don't need a sheets there. I said, okay, well, I'm sure that Sheets did market research.
Wait, somebody did come in there and say this?
Yeah, and told me. I said, well, I'm sure that they
On Facebook.
did market research. That happens, but no, they came in. I said, well, they probably did market research and they realize it can be sustainable. Well, I don't think that we should have that there. I said, listen, not a problem. I got a great solution for you.
I can sell your house.
I was just going to say.
I was gonna. It was better than that. I said, what do you think should go there? We should have a Chick-fil-A. I said, not a problem. Actually, now we're talking.
Yeah,
I
now
like
we're talking.
Now we're
Chick-fil-A.
talking. I said, here's what you can do. I think Sheets probably has, I'm roughing around $4.5 million so far in it right now. I think if you went and offered them $10 million, that they would go ahead and they would just walk away and they'd take their money. They're doubling it. They don't have to do anything and they can be happy. So I think that's a pretty good thing. I said, do you need a contact number? And they just froze.
Yeah.
And so, I'm serious though,
But
right?
yeah,
I
for
mean, if
sure.
it's
That's
there,
how the world is.
that's how the world is. Like, if you want something, go get it. Like, go take it. Go do something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think you got to be aggressive in the things that you're trying to do.
100%.
Yeah, JD was talking about that in Slippery Rock. They wanted to keep it a green space when it was going to
Yeah.
be a development center.
I mean, I JD Longo, Mayor of Slippery Rock, and I'll share this with you. Of all the municipal officials that I work with, he's by far the best. There's I'm telling you, there's not even a close second. He works his tail off. He has done amazing things up in Slippery Rock. I count on him. First off, he's a good personal friend. Secondly, he does an incredible job up there, and I'm just a huge fan of what he does.
Yeah,
he's a
absolutely.
great partner.
Yeah, I think to your point, with that constituent, in Elwood that wanted that, I think that so much of this and so much of what we talk about on the podcast is about, look, there is risk. Look, if you want something, you want there to be a Chick-fil-A in Elwood City, look, by all means, reach out to them. They have franchising. They have all that stuff. Go do it. People want financial freedom. Guess what? There's a million ways to go about it to achieve that. At the end of the day, it's doing it. It's putting that into action. And so many people, especially in today's, handout society, they they want it, but they won't do what it takes to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, how hard are you going to work to do something with the opportunity that you realize that that you may not win, right? And I use that because there's a difference in the entrepreneurial type stuff that I do and if you're in corporate world. Okay?
For sure.
Because if you're in corporate world and you work really, really hard and kill yourself, right, and you don't get the promotion, not a big deal. You're getting it next time, right, or the time after, as long as you keep that up.
Yeah.
If you're in politics and you run for something and you lose by one vote, you know what they call you?
A loser.
A loser.
Yeah.
Right? It's that simple. You just lost.
Yeah.
Okay? Like it's win or go home. When you're talking about some of the real estate things or even just business things in general, at the end of the day, there's your P&L. Right? You win or you lose. It's that simple.
Yep.
And I'm a sales guy by trade. That's what I've always done. So I kind of liked it. It was real simple. People would have reviews or whatever. Like, once a quarter, I'm like, listen, I'm not interested. And my boss would be like, what? I don't understand. So it's real simple. Like, I was supposed to bring in $245,000 in revenue. I brought in $238,000 in revenue. I failed. Okay, I was supposed to bring in $245,000 in revenue. I brought in $280,000 in revenue. I won.
You won.
Like, it's real simple in the sales sense. So, I've always kind of liked that cut and dry, black and white, win-lose scenario.
Fantastic. So I guess so you talked about your interactions with, local officials, right?
Yeah.
So as it relates to, well, you just talked about the sheets. So maybe I'm interested in this. I'm sure that our viewers are too. So when you have a sheets that do you go out and do you reach out to people? I mean, what's that communication look like? Because you're trying to grow and develop, commerce in an area. I mean, how does that look like from?
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I'm going to give you two separate answers that have literally nothing to do with each other. Okay, because the one I want to talk about, the box store type things that have franchises that have those policies and things like that in place. Very simply, if you do not meet their criteria, you are not in running.
Okay.
So, for example, Sheetz has to be on a corner. Sheetz has to have X amount of cars that go by every day. Sheetz has to, like, these types of things.
How do you quantify that, though? How do you know how many cars?
Studies.
Demographic
That's what
studies.
he's talking about, that 4 million.
They will bring, you ever seen those strips across the road? They'll
Oh,
put those
so they'll
down.
do that and they'll wait.
It's,
Okay.
Median
See what-
income.
yep. I mean, it is. So if you do not meet their specs, no questions asked, they don't do it. It's not up for debate. And I mean, what I'm telling you is they have the number. If you're darn close to everything but miss one by a hair, they don't do it. They go by
They have
their
the formula.
specs.
Yeah, that's their
That's
formula.
their formula.
Yeah, they know.
That's
Starbucks
what they
is the
do.
same. I try to get Starbucks in Newcastle my whole life.
Good luck.
It's never come.
It's not good.
That seems like an expensive habit for everybody.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but so that's very different.
Okay.
Very different scenario. So we know kind of who does what, and then there's also the commercial brokers that we work with that would be able to solidify some of those things. The other side of that are other types of businesses that do not follow that model, right? It could be manufacturing. It could be a variety of different things. It doesn't almost matter where they are. Or it's businesses that say, hey, I want to open up a restaurant here myself or things like that. So that's working with the individuals and then also working with the local municipal governments. So here's the thing. A couple things. Number one, you have to have utilities. Cheap, abundant, reliable energy is imperative. Very important for the economy and for a specific area. You have to have water, public water, and you have to have public sewer. Those are three things that are very important in order to bring business in. So really tried to spend a lot of time and effort and money from the state in order to make sure that we get that as far across my municipalities as possible. The second thing, everybody thinks it's going to, I bet you're probably thinking, well, what about the tax rate?
I swear I was just thinking about that.
It's number like 84 on the list that they care about.
Because there's abatements. Don't they offer incentives?
Still doesn't matter.
They don't care. Because they're going to make more.
Yeah.
It's about those first things. The second thing is how easy is the local government to work with. When I have a problem, who can I call?
Yeah.
Who can I text? Who can I get down here? Right? Those are the things. So you want to talk property? Sure. That's just a line item, and you can build that into your cost. But you can't build in the cost of energy, right? If it's going crazy and you don't have cheap, abundant, reliable energy.
That's fair.
You can't build into the cost of
you're not negotiating
building massive
that.
You can't negotiate those things. And you can't negotiate if somebody that you're working with is a good person and being able to easy to work with.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the stuff we can figure out. Those two things are imperative, and that is what it takes for development.
Okay. So then how do you get people? So you have Sheetz. I would imagine that you have a Sheetz or a Starbucks or any of those companies trying to come into Elwood. Do you reach out to them, or how do you do that? How do you make your constituency more desirable for a company like that to come in? Because those are game changers.
Oh, no question. Absolute game changers. So the first thing is there's a lot of these municipalities brokers, commercial brokers that I work with that know, okay, this area would qualify for this company,
Okay.
right? This area would qualify for this company, whatever they are. Those are all different things that would be relevant, and that's specifically who I work with on that. In terms of the ease of use and those types of things, first off, it's just about being friendly. You give out your cell phone number, right? You tell them anything you need. You call me day or night. Mm-hmm. You shoot them a text once in a while. The executives of the company, hey, anything going on that you need help with, any issues whatsoever. If somebody from Sheetz, if they're having an issue with something and it's on the other side of the state, if I can be the guy to even jump in and help on something like that, so it's about being personable. It's about having those relationships that are built over a long period of time. And I think what happens is you build that trust block by block by block by block. And my dad used to always tell me, you can build that trust all day, but it just takes 1 millisecond, right, to break that down. So, I think you always have to be on your toes and always make sure that you're working in order to help people be successful. In my experience in my life, and I'm 38 years old, but in the last 38 years, I've learned this. If you continue to give and help people, that comes back tenfold to you.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Yeah. It's very telling by what you just said on what it takes to develop in a town. Do you think Newcastle is best friends with the Dollar General people?
First off, I do not know the Dollar General people.
Apparently, they're best friends with whoever runs Newcastle.
There are a lot of Dollar Generals in Newcastle.
They're taking over a little bit.
So here's the thing, though. It works.
It says a lot about the demographic, though.
Yeah.
So
it's
they come
telling.
in
Yeah.
and they say, okay, people don't drive to our place; they walk to our place. We're going to put these stores up, and they work because they wouldn't be investing money in these things if they weren't profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Is there one in Cranberry? I don't even know there's a Dollar General in Cranberry.
It's a great question.
It kind of fits it would be the inverse of what you just said about Sheetz or Chick-fil-A. They want medium income at this, that. Whereas Dollar General probably looks for a different demographic, which it fits their business model.
Yeah, I think
does.
it's all about finding that business model. Which can I roll into something else?
Of course.
Totally off. I'm
sure,
trying to take over your podcast.
No, we're wild here.
So that is my point of you can make money doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't care how stupid you think the idea is. I'm gonna tell my brother-in-law later today. He's 16 years old. He's just got his permit. Like, you know what, and so if you're out there, do this. Like, if you're like 15, 16, 17 years old, there's no reason you shouldn't be doing this. There are a gazillion people out there that have all kinds of stuff in their house they're trying to get rid of. Okay? Tons. Okay. Like, you buy a building, there's a bunch of stuff. You go into your parents' basement. Yeah, I just want to get rid of this. I want to get rid of that. I want to get rid of this, right? You go on there, and you sign up, and you say, I'll come in, I'll take pictures. I'll put it up online, and I'll set up for somebody to come and pick it up. Take 50% of the cost. They're just happy to get the stuff out of there.
Yeah.
Right? You don't even have to house the stuff. literally you're just putting it up online and marketing it out there and putting it out there.
Yeah.
Right. The people will call you directly. You set up a time for them to come and get it. They give 50% of the money to that person. You get 50% of the money.
So is this a business idea right now, or you
Right
just
now.
thought of it
Right now?
Oh, wow.
I thought of it earlier today, and I texted them like, "Hey, we got to talk later."
Yeah. Put on
You know, like-
Marketplace, eBay,
Yeah, I love
whatever.
that. 'Cause you don't have to invest anything. You have
Nothing.
the internet.
You
have
have nothing.
Facebook.
I mean,
You're like a
literally-
middleman. You're like a broker.
You literally walk
You're
up
now
with
a
this.
broker. Yep.
You
Yeah.
walk up with this, right? It's that simple.
If I had that when I had it when I was 15. But maybe, never mind. That's
I'm
story.
happy I
It's not
didn't have
true.
that when
Never
I was
mind.
15.
We didn't have social media like that when I was
Good.
15.
I'm happy.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Thank
But I
God.
was a little
That's got me in
entrepreneur.
trouble.
Yeah.
I was always looking for ways to make money when I was like 14,
Yeah.
15, because I couldn't get a job yet.
Right.
I was too young.
Right.
So it was like, how
And
can
even
I
if
make
you
money?
did, the job sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to make $5 an hour.
That's
right. Like
yeah,
my point is, like,
5:15. I started
Yeah.
at Coney Island.
That's
when
what I
was
was,
16.
5:15.
Yeah.
so were you the hot dog
forgot
maker
you worked
with
at
the
Coney
I
hat?
didn't
Island.
make hot dogs. I just
Made the chili.
I gave it away. That's why I got fired. I gave away.
You got fired from Coney Island
because I jumped over the counter.
to fight someone?
To fight someone?
No, I was cleaning and I didn't want to walk around, so I would jump over with the mop to.
That's all right.
That's
I've
hilarious.
been I fired for a couple of jobs, but that's why I'm an entrepreneur. I
Yeah,
could
you
never
just
work
figured
for
it out.
Couldn't work for somebody.
So, but I think like that's just like there's so many things you can do that are so easy to make money.
Yeah.
Like go do that. Like that's easy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that-
so true. It's like I'm not obviously affiliated with that younger generation of 15 and 16-year-olds now, Gen Z, I guess they call them. But when I was younger, I wasn't afraid to do like not glamorous jobs to make money. Like I
Yeah.
would shovel snow, I would make bead
Oh, yeah.
creatures.
Couldn't
and
wait to
sell
work.
them. Yeah, I just couldn't wait to like
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
get my
it's-
hands on money, and that's obviously I've taken that into my adulthood. But if there's the opportunity like that where I don't have to buy anything or store anything, I mean, that's such an opportunity for
Huge.
younger kids.
So take it. If you're out
Yeah.
there watching this, say,
Do it.
here's another one. Can I give one more? And then we can move on to something else.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Everybody has all these home systems and none of them are set up properly.
What do you mean?
Your TV has Wi-Fi. They have their doorbell ring. They have all these different things.
I have one that
people
I
have.
can't set up. I don't know.
Can't,
I don't know how.
You don't even know how to set it up?
I just have
There you go.
it.
Yeah.
Go
That's-
learn how to do it, right? There's like 3 systems. There's Google, Amazon, like whatever,
There's like
right?
Orbeez you're talking? Like those like
yeah, there's-
Wi-Fi like
yeah, there's like
signal
3
thi-
though.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay?
yeah. Okay.
But I mean 3, like in total, the main ones.
Mm-hmm.
Go learn how to do it and tell people for $150 I'll come and set your thing up. And that gets you 2 of your phones set up. It gets you, a doorbell set up, all these different things, right? Here's all the packages. You can even increase the dollar cost of package. Here's where you go to buy them. You set up yourself an online eBay store or Craigslist or
Shopify.
Amazon store.
Yeah.
No. I just literally straight like from a store list.
Oh, okay,
right?
yeah.
They order it in there that you can actually say, have the stuff delivered to you. Okay. They put in their credit card. They put everything else. It's $25 delivery fee when you take it there to actually set the stuff up. $150 to set it up. Boom. Within 25 minutes, 30 minutes, everything's set up. You just made $175.
Yeah.
How you not doing it?
You're giving a bunch of free
I mean,
game out
if
of
you're
here.
15
should
years old,
start
14 years old,
Employing 15-year-olds. We should just manage them.
Especially as it relates to
Yeah.
anything like technology wise.
like you know what I'm saying? Think
Yeah,
about
no,
that.
no, it's-
like
yeah.
you can just find ways to hustle and do stuff. Like I
Yeah.
think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, and they're better with technology than we are.
They're
You
born
know, I mean,
with
they-
it. I don't know. It's,
Yeah, they are. I mean, like
technology's
think about it.
hard
Like
for me. Like,
my nephew's on an iPad. He knows how to sit there and grab a phone, FaceTime me.
Yeah.
Same with my nephew. Yeah.
it's like
he's,
he doesn't really
under 2.
talk much yet, but it's like he can
Yeah,
pick
he
up the
can
phone
do
and
that.
FaceTime me. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what? But then
So those are 2 ideas. If you're young, there's no reason that you're broke. If you are,
Agreed.
it's your fault.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
so what is your long game, like your end game?
Me?
Because, yeah,
In real estate or politics?
well, so I guess they're 2 the same. So I guess how does it? Do you plan on being in politics? They aren't 2 the same, but you plan on being in politics for the long
Well, I was
game,
thinking
or-
about running against Brandon next year.
You should. Yeah,
Brandon who?
let's go, Brandon.
Oh,
Sorry, we had to throw it in there for her. No.
I'd vote for you.
There you go. Thank you. I
yeah.
appreciate that. So at least I got 2.
Yeah,
I don't know
right.
if my wife will.
enough.
She'll be like, we're not going to DC, honey. Listen, here's the deal. I have zero. Share with you what my ambition is, and I said this before, but I want to reiterate it. I believe you find a position where you can be impactful in life, and you do it. And sometimes that position, I don't mean politically, I mean a position in life. And sometimes that means I'm going to be I can make an impact by making money in real estate and the things that we do and give back to my community in a variety of different ways. Sometimes that means through public service and politics. Sometimes that means whatever it is. I can tell you I have zero interest whatsoever in going to Washington, D.C. None. They'll probably run some ad if I ever decide to run for Congress. So. But I can tell you none. I like not at all, not even on my radar, has never been on my radar, just not. I'm not for it. I don't like the way it operates there. I think that
you can make more of an impact. It sounds like you can make more of an impact.
So
locally.
We're doing a lot of really good stuff right now in the state house. I'm not going to run for the state senate probably. I just don't have an interest in it. I like what I'm doing, where I'm at, and it's small enough with 65,000 people. I know these people individually.
Right.
I know them intimately. You go to the state senate, it's 250,000. Right, that's a lot more.
Yeah.
It's not about a title or anything else for me. It is truly about finding an area where I can make an impact. And I think I'm making an impact. Business-wise, obviously, I got to do things to provide for my family, right? And I really like it. We have a company called Bernstine Capital. We go into companies, take over their management structure, and literally change all their processes, implement changes, and turn them from usually dying on the vine companies to profitable. Sometimes it's they're kind of okay, and then really make them much more profitable.
Are you investing in those companies, or?
Yeah, a variety of different ways it's structured.
Okay.
Yeah, a variety of different ways. Sometimes it's capital investment, sometimes it's ownership, sometimes it's management fees, whatever it is. But we have good success rate with that. So I enjoy that too. And the reason why I think that's so important is people are like, oh, you're doing stuff on the side, not just your political job. You shouldn't want somebody that the only thing that they're doing in life is being in politics.
Totally agree.
You have to have
100%.
people that are out there on the grind. And here's the deal. They get, they're 40 hours a week for me and that, right? Don't get me wrong. But you have to be, you want people that are on the grind, that understand.
Relatability.
Yeah, and that understand also the relatability of what you're doing in the political spectrum to what you're doing in the private world.
How it could affect
and
them.
how does it affect it? And what does it mean? And what is the consequence, either positive or negative, for that action and behavior?
See, I view it, I totally agree. I view it as, so whoever my representative is, right, I would much rather them have legitimate multiple streams of income coming in, because then don't worry about them being this is a political statement, but I feel like they're not being beholden to other special interests that are out there. So for example, if here's somebody like yourself, right? You own real estate, you have a business, you have all these other things, and that's important to me, because you're creating wealth and financial freedom for yourself and generational wealth for your kids and their kids down the line based off of business and thinking differently. Whereas like a lot of these other individuals that are out there, they're, kind of siphoning taxpayer money to sit there and to do and create wealth for themselves down that avenue. So
yeah, I mean, like I rejected the pension. I don't think you ought to be paying for politicians the rest of your life.
Oh.
I rejected the state car. I don't think that you ought to be paying for my car. Plus, to be honest with you, I ain't driving around a state car.
Yeah. What is it?
What's my car?
What do you mean it's a state car?
It's like, I don't know. It's not mine.
Yeah.
So
I got you.
I
track you.
Yeah. So I think that those things are all important because I don't think that people should be paying those things for politicians. I just don't. It's where I'm at in life. Then also, I don't do the job for money. Like, I make much more.
For sure.
I mean, I've been public about this. I took a 2/3 pay cut whenever I got elected to when I didn't. I don't say that in a braggadocious way or anything like that. I say that in a way and I talk about this a lot when I'm out on the campaign trail. We need to elect people that are taking a demotion, not elect people that are getting a promotion. So the day that I got elected, I lost staff, meaning I had less people that worked for me than worked for me before. Wow. I lost money, I lost benefits, all those things, but it has to be because it's in your heart and something that you're passionate about and truly believe in and what you're trying to do for those bosses, aka constituents, that elect you every time.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, and I think that mantra should be taken more seriously across the board, because for me, I'm not into politics. I don't pay attention a lot until it affects me.
Yeah.
With the trigger things that are going on, nationally right now, I'm starting to take an interest, but politics has always had a stigma, a negative connotation. So to hear that, it's like, oh, maybe you're not all evil. That would be nice.
Hey, there you go. You
But
never
it
know
affects most things, especially
Yeah.
real estate.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it is affecting a lot of, the things that we try to do, and it's good and refreshing to hear that there are people that are out there that have skin in the game themselves, not just going about it, as a
I
representative.
started paying
And I don't-
attention when I started being told I couldn't do something when COVID hit.
Yeah.
For instance, when I couldn't work
Right.
for 2 months. That's when I was like, who are these people telling me no?
And
Then I
you're-
started learning names. I'm like,
Yeah.
Anita, all this stuff.
Yeah, and I think what's so important on that is getting involved in that process, right? It's not enough to go vote. It's not, because the people that have the interests opposite you do a whole lot more. You got to contribute to campaigns. If people are like, well, I don't have money for it, well, get another job if you actually care about your vocation.
Yeah, right.
Like, go work harder, right?
Yeah.
Don't go out to Starbucks. Like, I don't know what that means, but whatever that is.
Yeah.
Go knock on doors for candidates if you don't have any money. If you don't have any money, that means you probably have a whole lot of time. Go out and, for those types of things. And the last thing is this, and this is such a big deal that people don't think about, but I said, listen, I need 3 things from you. I need your time, I need your talent, or I need your treasure. One of the 3, right? Treasure's obviously, right? That's campaign donations. Your time, meaning door knocking, things like that. The talent one is a thing that people don't think about a lot. And it's so important. Like, everybody has individual unique skills and ability, okay? Good example. You have this right here, okay? If there's somebody that you really believe in and you know how to run podcasts and things like that, you've done it. This is a talent that you guys have. Bring somebody in, explain the things, right? Walk them through, explain to them how they should look at a camera when they're having conversation, how they should talk into a microphone. Those are things that people don't think about a lot. So time, talent, treasure are things that there's no reason that people can't do one out of the 3 in order to make their world better.
Yeah. Agreed. Good stuff there.
Yeah, and that crosses over into, not just even, that's not necessarily like a political, that's just in business in general, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at those things.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a pivot. What made you buy in Florida, and what was desirable about a short-term rental?
Big fan of the area down there.
Just vacation there, or you?
Yeah,
Okay.
been down there several times. Big fan of. I just like it because it's a simple area, right? It's not like huge party scene craziness, whatever. It's kind of chill.
Yeah.
Could take my family down there.
I love St. Pete.
Yeah, it's
Great Thai food down there.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. So really enjoy that. The other thing is, I had another 2 guys that really like going down there. Then brought a third in. So it's 4 of us that own the place. Why short-term rental? It's because there's 4 of us, and we like to go down there during different times, so we can block off 3, 4, 5 days at a time instead of a longer-term rental.
Okay. So how's that work then? If you said there's 4 different families,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Do you get allocated time?
Listen,
or
I mean, we're all really good friends.
oh, that's good.
Okay.
That's cool.
So it doesn't matter. We can just pile into a place and it's
Yeah,
okay. You know what I mean? It's our wives are really cool. Everybody gets along.
Yeah.
So it's easier than, oh, I don't know you, you don't know me. It's
For
much
sure.
easier.
Partners are hard.
Yeah. So this is one where, we're planning something going down. I was like, hey, Ilea, and she was like, well, make sure Chaz and Jess and Brian and Tom know, see if they can come down too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not, you just throw out a couple mattresses and sleep on the floor.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we structure it. Now, listen, I wouldn't recommend that for everybody. It just works for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything else in life. Once again, what works for you may not work for me. It doesn't mean that you're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong, and vice versa. It is just about finding what works for you within each of your business relationships.
Yeah.
So do you plan on scaling your real estate portfolio?
Not in that. That one's a little bit different for me,
Okay.
right? Because that one's more of we use it also to really enjoy out here. Starting to learn more and more about commercial. Kind of liking it. So
Multifamily, or what type of commercial?
commercial
a plaza?
businesses,
Like plazas,
stuff
big
like
strip
that.
malls.
Yeah, I
that
wanted to
sort of
hear what you did there. Is it vacant, or is there?
Yeah, so we
tenants?
just purchased a place in downtown Wampum. And Wampum's actually really interesting. Number one, it's people are like, oh, Wampum, it's so
stuff.
small.
I hear different officials talking about Wampum.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. Great, easy to do business with. Great people. All the people down there are just awesome individuals. They take care of their stuff, right? You don't have yards growing and junk in house.
Blight. There's no blight.
It doesn't
Yeah.
exist. It just doesn't happen. So we purchased 2 buildings side by side. It's about 35%, about 35% probably of the total downtown area. So we're going to redo those completely. It's 4 storefronts. 2 of them are already rented. We've already had people reach out to us to rent the other ones too. So
Really?
yeah, so we're really excited about them. I think it's really cool. Found all kinds of really neat stuff in them. A lot of history, and so we're,
What kind of businesses?
One's a gym, like a workout facility. The other one, the guy is a nationally renowned flute maker.
Interesting.
Wow.
Did not expect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long they've been in there for a while?
Yeah. So it's pretty neat, but
Yeah.
like those types of things, working with actually an artist from here in Pittsburgh to come and do a mural type thing on the side of the wall. So just a lot of cool things. I think that's once again like giving back to the community and how you can do that. That'll revitalize that entire area.
Oh, yeah.
So what are the things that we can do to be helpful? Sure, you got to make money. Sure, you got to be profitable, right? But what is your greater impact? Because if you don't have a greater impact than fattening your wallet, your life is a sorry time.
Yeah.
It's a useless life. And so what greater impact can you make in every single thing that you do? And how will that affect not just today, not tomorrow, but 20, 40, 60, 100 years down the road? What can you do to make the world a better place?
Yeah. Wow. That's really good. So you like Wampum then?
Yeah,
like
great,
just
cool
as a
place. Yeah, it's part of my district too, so which is really awesome.
Oh, okay. So you're
but I mean, I
like
really
giving back
like
in
it.
that regard.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I mean, I really
The
like
Wampum
it.
is very quiet. Like, you don't hear of anything bad happening.
Nothing bad happened. The people are awesome. Like, their government's awesome. Like, they're just good, really good people.
Yeah.
So
what's your real estate strategy with that? You're going to obviously improve it. Are you going to force the appreciation, lend
Yeah.
against it and do it again? Like, repeat the process?
I don't know, right? Depends. Remember, I don't necessarily make a living off of that. I do it more for my Bernstine Capital stuff with our consulting work, and then also.
How'd you find the buildings?
It was up for auction.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So you
so
bought it at
that-
auction.
Okay.
Yeah, bought it at auction. I was looking at it for a long time. Like, I'd really
long
like
was
to
it
do
vacant
something
for?
in this area.
Is it-
I mean, it's been vacant for 20-some years.
No kidding.
Up
Really?
above. Yeah, it's all stripped down. So, but yeah, I mean, we're excited about that. But, we talk about what's the long-term strategy on that. What we'll probably do is get the thing fixed up, right? Strip the money back out, and then do more flips in what we do, right? So that's our real money stuff.
And you have a flip
This
coming
is one
up.
of those. Yeah.
Where's
I'm working
that
on
at?
one right now. I have one right in Elwood City, just getting ready to buy another one, probably in Neshannock.
Oh, okay.
But have one in Elwood City that we're doing, and went in there and there was knob and tube electric
that's the
everywhere.
best.
So
Yeah, pretty common
yeah, that
around
was
there.
that was really interesting. So working on that in the next 2 weeks, and then we're doing work that. But our Florida place, by the way, so this is a good example. So we went in, did a traditional mortgage, and with that, then we're like doing a gut on it and upgrading all the different stuff. And then we're going to peel the money back out of it and then just make our regular monthly payments. So, I think the other thing I think you have to be worried about, I know this isn't, I've watched your guys' show, I know this isn't necessarily your guys' strategy, but for the regular common person, and I say this to people all the time, for you guys out there listening, don't just pay attention to what the experts say. You got to know what you're doing and do your homework and get your bumps and scrapes. It's a lot easier to get those bumps and scrapes at a lower dollar level than a much higher level.
Agreed.
Because you're never going to recover if you do it at a higher level. These guys know what they're doing inside and out. So I think the problem is like when you strip the money out of those things, what happens is it's not positive cash flow returning, and I don't mean it 100% when everything goes perfect, right? People can really get themselves in a jam. So you got to watch those things. And I also am a believer that I just like to sleep peacefully at night.
Yeah.
Right?
Me too.
Like that's
Right.
worth something to me.
Right.
By not having tons of debt and things like that out there. It's just worth something to me. So it works for me.
People get over. So what I found is the mistakes that people make is that they'll chase after a property, right? They won't get it for the right price. They will then tell themselves, okay, well, it needs X amount into it. They'll try to make the deal make sense to them without it actually making sense. Then they'll say, well, it needs $100,000 in it. Well, really needs $150. Now, where are you coming up with that other 50, right?
Right.
Then they're telling themselves, oh, what's going to appraise at 400, but it's really worth 350, 300.
Right.
So you get yourself into a bind where you're coming out of pocket with more cash, right? Or you're having to borrow cash.
Right.
And then whenever you do refinance it, there might not be a ton of equity to take out of it. And the cash flow, and now you got to sit there and you got to worry about, it being occupied, right? Or that the rents are going to adjust. Like, people try to make these deals make more sense than they actually do.
Yeah.
And because they want it.
They chase
and
it.
you could get hurt. You really can. And if you're not, or if you don't have other properties, you don't have other cash flow coming in to offset that payment. Now you're worrying on your 9 to 5 paying that. And that's what people get into buying. They foreclose, it's.
And I think the biggest thing I would say is people, look at those things and make those calls and make those decisions. Is you got to do also. Listen, I'm all about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But you also got to be able to sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're doing stuff, I mean, I give you a couple examples. I know people that make tens of millions of dollars a year. Okay? They are absolutely miserable in their life.
Yeah.
Miserable. Hate it. They hate it. Fine, they got money. Their wife hates them. They don't know their kids. They're hardcore alcoholics or hardcore drugs, like just to get through the
time.
day. They don't have any time. Like, they're miserable. Okay, they got a really cool boat that they can show their boys to, but their boys aren't even their boys.
Yeah,
that's true.
Okay, I know people that make $25,000, $30,000 a year, and their wife makes $25,000, and the guy makes $25,000. So they're making $60,000 a year. They got 2 kids, and they're perfectly happy with life. And I tell you, I think sometimes, like, I'm a hustler. I'm a go, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's also about the chase. It's not about necessarily
the destination.
It's the chase. I love the chase.
For sure.
So, like, you got to find what makes you happy, and nothing else is relevant.
You can't quantify. You can't. I guess to your point, we've said all along. Look, if you want. If that's what you want, if you're totally content with that, you could live off that, you're happy, your household's happy, there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, if you want more, but you're that type of person that, you're risk adverse, you don't want to take the risk, but then, or you have an entitled mindset like, oh, well, I deserve this, but guess what?
That's
You're not willing to go do what it takes to get it.
Right.
Like you said, that's a different animal.
It's all about it's about your internal happiness. It's what you want out of life.
Because materials don't do it. And I say this all the time. Look, you're only as good, so like my 9 to 5, right? Well, it's not really 9 to 5, but my day job. And I've told this to my manager. Look, if I have issues at home, or I have issues, or I'm not happy in my personal life, or you have other reps that aren't happy, or they're dealing with things, it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters, right? Because you're only as good at your job as you are personally. Mm-hmm. You're only as good as, being an investor or being a business person, whatever it is, as you are personally. If you have issues, it's, forget about it. You can't quantify. There's no amount of money that you can make to make your marriage better.
Yeah. I mean, I was 26 years old, 27 years old, making $250,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Drive a X30, their 530, 5 Series BMW.
Yeah.
Right. Totally paid for. Just wrote a check for it. Done. Right. Was working at ADP, killing myself. Hated it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't hate the job. I was just working so hard, like I couldn't deal with it.
Did other parts of your life?
It was terrible
because of it. Yeah.
No question. Right. Couldn't maintain relationships. Couldn't, like, whatever. And finally, I'm like, all right, I gotta just, So you put some things in perspective.
Yeah.
And you figure, but you know what, though? That comes with age. That comes with your lumps. That comes with just learning things yourself. I mean, how many times have you done stupid stuff? We all do stupid stuff. And then you just learn from it, get better in life.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's such a good, what was just said. I really enjoyed hearing that, because it is so true. If you're not healthy here or here, nothing else is going to grow or flourish in any other factors of your life.
Well, it's fake.
Yeah.
And it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
So even if you can fake it and get through it, but I'm telling you, I'm thinking of one guy in particular. I mean, I think he makes $20-ish million a year. Like, he's miserable. But listen, his wife's not leaving, because she's still taking advantage of, like,
she's still
his
kids
act like they like him because they want money to go, and But like the only thing they care about is make sure they got the black card,
Exactly.
right? Like that's not
Well, it's
that's
we
not a
live
good.
in
I mean, like I
yeah.
don't know if you know. I literally live in a double wide. I swear to God.
You do?
I swear to God. I
Okay.
literally live in a double wide. People are like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you've done well. I'm like, I don't care. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
the other thing. I don't want my kids to think that they have anything that they didn't earn. Like,
I
we have a
couldn't
nice
agree
farm.
more
I have
with
those
that.
things, right? Like, I drive a Lexus.
Yeah.
That's mine. Okay? So I pull my Lexus up into my, next
Yeah.
to my double wide. I swear to God, though, I
Yeah.
live in a double wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
I just, like, I'm a simple, straightforward, humble dude on those things.
Yeah.
And I don't want my kids to think, like, my two boys sleep in it. We got a 3-bedroom place. My two boys sleep, they share a room.
Mhm.
The girl has her own room,
Yeah.
and my wife and I.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, you're not, like, I could go build a house right now, but that's not the point.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
want those things to happen.
It's-
I think you got to teach those things that grind and struggle internally.
It's a weird. We
100%.
live in a grind obsessive culture mixed with an entitlement culture.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do both.
Mm-hmm.
To be both.
Right.
It's I've almost been indoctrinated into it as well. Coming from Newcastle, coming from no money, it's like, well, I must work 24 hours a day to become this, ambitious. I must be independent, and it's sometimes miserable. It's like, okay, like I do well, I'm successful, but sometimes I'm like, all right, when's this gonna end? I'm on this hamster wheel. Like I gotta figure
Yeah.
it out. You know what I mean?
Well, I think like you have to start to, like, what are you doing it for? Like, what's your why?
Mm-hmm.
And if your why is because you want a really nice car and nice purses, or what do they call them now? Bags.
I don't even
Bags.
have a purse.
Bags.
I don't
You
have
know,
a purse.
But
I
I'm
have a
just,
book bag.
No, I'm just saying though, right? Like if you,
You do
you know,
use
so, but like if that's your why, like that's a short-lived why. If your why is
Yeah.
like bigger than yourself, and I know because we've talked, it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It is. But that short-term why of people is, if it's literally just to get, I want this car. Like, dude, who cares? If it want, like that's not going to make you long-term sustainable, happy. And you have to do it with integrity. You have to do it with honor. You have to do it with respect. And then who else did you bring up with you? Like, who
Yeah.
else did you bring up with you while you were being successful? Because you're going to fail like crazy. You're
have.
going to fail like crazy. And I'm going to fail like crazy. Like, and you're going to do it again and again. And I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
Like, so who else is going to be there and be like, yo, cuz I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Hey, come with me. We were here before and you dragged me. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so who else is going to do those things? And it's relationships that allow that to
So
happen.
important. I've mentored a lot of people that really didn't bring any fruit my way, just because they needed my help.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that I have the
Yeah.
education and knowledge to do that. And sometimes, like, even with this podcast, if we just motivate one person,
Right.
that's fulfilling.
It's worth it.
You can't buy that. It's like, what's your why? I want to obviously retire young. But if I need to help, if my nephew needs something in the future, I want to, like, my mom needs something, like,
Right.
I got you. Or if my friends need something, like,
Right.
that's what's beautiful about, the fruits of your labor.
Yeah. And it's all, and it's not even financially. It's also just the connecting people with other people because you've built good relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my Rolodex is huge.
I'm sure.
Not
Oh, I
because,
bet.
and it's literally because of people that I've helped that have went way far beyond me. I mean, this one, his name's Dom. He's doing an amazing job. He's making tons of money, right? And I hired him at ADP when I very first started. Like, awesome, man. Like, it's just, I get excited when other people are successful.
Question. So how do you deal with people who hate you? Like, because sometimes you deal, like,
Yeah.
people deal with adversity. Not everyone's going to like you.
Yeah.
But you're sitting here and you feel like you're impacting positively your constituents.
Yeah.
And then you have those people, inevitably, they're like, this guy's evil, or
Just because you have an R.
Yeah.
But how do you?
Or D. Like, I think it goes both ways.
Well, it goes both ways, right? But in
How
your
do you
case,
handle it? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you have to have thick skin, but like,
So they don't hate me,
okay,
okay?
yeah.
At all. They
yeah,
don't
it's
know
not
me,
personal, right? It's
right?
So you don't take it personally,
They don't know me.
right?
So, I mean, listen, I've gotten threats. I've gotten all kinds of crazy stuff and things like that. But, they don't hate me. They hate what the caricature is of me.
Their idea of you.
Yeah,
their
it's just
perception
a
of you.
caricature, right? Is all it is it's, what you read in the newspaper. And you
Based
this
on your
and you that.
ideology, is that what you're saying?
I think in general,
just-
like in anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's ideology, sometimes it's something you said that gets twisted and turned. Let me give you an example. Here's a really good example of how things are spun. Somebody posts something on Twitter, and I don't even do Twitter anymore because I'm just over it. Okay? I just think it's like a total waste and burn. And I literally wrote back, well, if somebody, and it was like when these protests were going on, and this person grabbed somebody out and beat the tar out of them in a car.
Yeah.
And I wrote back, if somebody would ever try to stop my car and do me harm, I wouldn't stop under any conditions.
Right.
Do me harm, meaning attempting to grab someone
Attacking
out of
you.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't stop.
Yeah,
Like,
I
that's a
wouldn't stop.
logical answer.
Right.
Right? That makes
Yeah.
sense. Boom, explodes all over the internet.
I'm sure,
They
yeah.
take things, they
Out
maneuver
of
it around,
context,
right?
yeah.
Whatever. People literally to this day still think that I said I was going to go run over a protest.
Oh,
Like, that's just not true.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
right.
there's nothing that says that, right? There's,
Yeah.
it's
It
so
literally
frustrating.
doesn't.
Like, that's not what I said.
I don't care. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter,
You
right?
can't care.
So the people that matter to you and the people that you have relationships with are like that. They're the ones that understand you, know you, care about you, and it matters what is actually going on in the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a tough game.
Yeah.
A
That's-
political game. I couldn't handle
You're in a
it.
dirty arena too. So
Yeah,
it
well,
doesn't-
you know what though? You kind of don't worry. I mean, truly though, like you don't like it doesn't matter. I mean, so many people have literally come up to like after I've talked to them, be like, "Man, I thought you were a jerk before." I'm like, "Why?"
based on what? Yeah.
Well, I saw you said this or you said that. I'm like, I didn't.
Yeah.
You like start
Yeah.
stuttering. You're like,
Yeah.
I what?
Yeah.
Like, did I say? And then you start thinking. Listen, it gives you a complex. Then you're sitting there. You're like, wait, did I say that?
Yeah,
Like,
right,
like,
right.
So many
You hear
people
something so many times,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
it's
like, did I? I got to go back and think through that real
Yeah.
quick. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of interesting.
It like dehumanizes you. Being on
Yeah,
that
I think-
political
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think at the end of the day, they're the people that know you.
Yeah.
And the people that don't. That's okay
And if you're
too.
doing the right thing and you're helping people and you're doing it for
Yeah.
the right reasons,
You have nothing to worry
you have
about.
not. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I mean, but listen, they go after you personally. They've gone after my wife. They've said things about my kids that
Oh my
you wouldn't
God.
even.
See,
I mean,
I would.
couldn't
I'd
do
want to
that,
fight
you know.
everybody. I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Who is this? What's their name?"
Literally, my wife thinks it's hilarious. Like she will be like the one time somebody was trolling the thing, and we're like, "Oh, where do you find her? FarmersOnly.com or something like
Oh
that."
my
my
God.
Right?
God.
Literally, I mean,
Yeah.
she to this day will tell you that's like the best comment.
Yeah. Is that right?
She's like, "This is fantastic."
That's amazing.
She's like,
You
she
should get a
so-
sponsorship from FarmersOnly.com.
She's like, "Can I start an account?" I'm like, "Hey, whatever floats your boat," you know. So I was hoping. I don't know if she did. If you guys out there could
Code
check, make sure
Aaron
her name's
Yeah,
Ilea,
she might be on-
ILIA. So make sure she's not on there.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
So there was. All right, this is off topic with this topic, but for St. Pete, have you guys heard of the unsolicited neighborhoods? You know what that is?
No.
Or unincorporated neighborhoods. Have you heard of that? Because there's
Explain now.
with short-term rentals, there's obviously some restrictions with where you can have a short-term
Yeah.
rental. But I found one for my client down there that I posted, and it was in an unincorporated neighborhood. So I don't know what that means. I didn't Google it, but I don't know if you guys heard of it yet.
Don't know.
But you were allowed to have short-term rentals in it.
No, because it was in St. Pete. Yeah, I mean the zoning and all that stuff like is just so different. So like you have like in Treasure Island, I was just talking to someone about this earlier. Like you look at like like how the map is. Like you have that like Paradise Island or whatever
Yeah.
it's called over there. Like that's all residential.
this
So like you
neighborhood was,
can't.
like,
So
different.
this one's saying that you
Like a
can't. It
gem.
was residential.
Yep.
Like it was all
Uh-huh.
single family homes.
Yeah.
Inland, or was it?
It was
on
inland. Yeah, it wasn't beachfront.
the- Okay, so it was in
And they
St. Pete.
also have ordinances about if you can have a pool or not.
Yeah.
Which I thought was strange.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just.
We have
something-
it. Ours is like a townhouse. So
Okay.
Oh, do they have one in like the
Mhm.
HOA you're in?
yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And they
3-bedroom.
allow a short-term rental in the HOA?
Oh,
okay.
we work on some things.
Yeah.
I hope Governor DeSantis isn't watching this.
That'd be
But I got
wild
you,
if
buddy.
he
he's for you using your property.
is.
He
the way that
is.
you wanna
I'll send
use
it to him, but I'll say edit that part out.
Isn't
Yeah.
wasn't he advocating for being able to use your house however
That's
you want
home
it?
rule.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah, he's the real deal.
yeah.
Yeah, he's cool. That's why everybody went to Florida when COVID hit.
That's right.
That's
That's why I
right.
got my Florida license actually.
There you go.
I was like, wow, I might have to
Stay down there because they're not letting you work in
I
Pennsylvania.
never went to St. Pete, and I went over COVID because we're like, I got to get out of my house. So I went down there. loved it.
Nobody had
Bought
masks
something the
on.
next year. No one had masks on. Yeah, there's no that fear or that fear mongering, all
Yep.
that. It's like, no.
People
I mean, if you
living
did,
life.
hey, so be it. But don't sit there and tell me how I have to live my life. That's kind of like where that's exactly how it
We're
was.
for
down there.
less government,
Yep.
Yeah.
less regulation.
Yeah,
feel.
I think that every time government does something, it gets in the way.
Yeah.
We ought to be working to repeal those things.
Yeah.
And there's a motive and a reason why they're doing it, and we oftentimes we don't know what that is.
Well, you know what I think truly though, I'm just sharing with you, being on the inside, I think it's nearly always for good intentions. I really do.
Okay.
I do. I think what happens is people don't look at the unintended consequences of such actions. And that's why it's so important that that's why I tell people all the time, like when newer people come in or what, I'm like, whoa, slow down, cowboy. Slow down, cowgirl. Like, just listen. What's going to happen when this happens? What's going to happen when this happens? What's going to happen when this happens, right? What are the things that we can do to make sure that you're not having unintended consequences that are negative? Mm-hmm. So that's why I think that's important.
Okay. I have a question on that after we're done
Why
recording.
don't you just ask it now?
Well, because so
We can always edit it out.
so for example, they're trying to pass this bill in D.C.
Yeah.
Right, this inflation bill, right? They're going to rescue and save the country.
What's that about? I'm not familiar.
Well, look, at the end of the day, you're printing, what is it, like $200 billion? You're printing more money to try to reduce inflation from where it is. That's part of the problem. That's part of
Did you
what
ever see
started the
national
problem.
debt counter?
Yeah, it's been going up, but it's like you're doing something, and it makes you sit there and wonder. In my head, the way that it's like, okay, this is a last-ditch effort to sit there and to try to help. They're paying their lobbyists. Everyone's gonna have their hand out. It's just because nothing is ever bipartisan. Nothing is ever. Rarely are they. Well, I take that back. I'm sure that there's a lot of legislation that is, but those aren't the ones that are making the headlines on the news.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
And so, but these big ones, it's like, so do you think that when they're passing something like that, right, to counteract inflation, is there really, do you think the intent is good?
Yeah, I think it's well-intentioned. I think it's another example of, and listen, I just think this is a situation where I strongly disagree.
Is it so it's not incompetence?
Yeah, I think there's some incompetence there. But I think that ultimately, I just disagree with the way that the left goes about things and their vision of where America ought to go. And I think that, to me, government should provide services at the lowest possible cost to the consumers, aka all Americans, and we shouldn't be taxing people 1 cent more than we need to. And I think that ultimately, safety nets are there to catch people when they fall, but not there to consistently hold people up.
Right.
And I think that that's a big difference that I have with the far left.
Okay.
What do you see on the horizon in your area pertaining to real estate in terms of development, or what would you predict is going to happen, or what do you see happening that's going to benefit people like us that live there?
So I think one of the things that I do have concerns about in general is property tax reform. And people in this area of the Commonwealth think that they have a property tax issue. You don't, compared to the people everywhere else. The worst thing that could happen from a purely mathematical standpoint is the elimination of property taxes for Western Pennsylvania. Because if that money would then go to the Commonwealth, into Harrisburg, and come back out, you will be paying a much higher rate than you currently are paying now. So keeping those as localized as possible is mathematically in the best interest of taxpayers in our area. I think the other thing is, I think that there's going to be some additional funding for the trades, which is then going to drive down, or at least not continue the spike of labor costs, because you're going to have more people in the trades. Right now you have a huge issue of not being able to get anybody to do anything for work on real estate and work on homes.
Like contractors.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
Those are really good ones are hard to find.
Yep. So I think that, that's going to consistently change, and I think that's for the positive.
Oh, good. And it's state money that's coming in, you're saying?
Yeah. Yep. So there'll be some state money that's already in this last budget. So that takes probably anywhere between 2 to 4 years to make a direct impact, but a forward-looking impact. People are already starting to make those moves on pricing.
Why are the taxes so different from? I mean, I know Pittsburgh is such a bigger area than Lawrence, Butler, and Beaver, but even the transfer tax is huge. It's 5% transfer tax in Allegheny County versus 2% in Lawrence.
Yeah.
Why?
Look who runs those counties. Those counties are run by far left liberals that want to consistently tax people and think that it's the government's job to take as much money. The government can do better with it than the people, and then spit it back to the people that they want to. Where you have your more rural areas that view that differently. They view it in terms of, hey, we want to tax people at a lower rate and let people make the decisions with their money.
It's so expensive.
Yep.
And even when you purchase a property in Allegheny County, you immediately have an assessment.
Yep.
Based on the price that you bought it at.
Yep.
And I don't remember the last assessment Newcastle had. Taxes are pretty cheap
I think
up
it's
there.
about 35 years ago.
Yeah. So when people ask me, when we're shopping for houses in Newcastle, they're like, well, the assessment's only, $70,000. Why is the sale price of the home $300?
70 years or 30 years.
That.
Yeah,
Like,
trust me.
You want it to be.
You want that as low as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep.
Awesome. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, this was good.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for taking time and coming out.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Always happy to be in the Berg, even though it's super rainy out there today.
I know.
That's right.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching Cashed In. We'll see you next time.